Here is the thing. If you clicked on this, you've most likely been trying to understand why exactly Rook reads very young, and why, depending on if that's what you want and how you've built them up in your head, you're wondering how that choice in particular was made. And if you're someone who's played Mass Effect Andromeda, I can go right off and tell you that the reason why Rook reads as they do is because they are taking their inspiration from Ryder. And if you've played that game, then maybe the words I just said have made something click for you. If, however, you're still unsure about what exactly I mean, or would rather I go into more details on what I'm talking about, then grab a drink and join me as we chat about why Rook gentle parents the companions and what that says about their characterization. I'd like to start this video off by stating right off the bat that I am a big fan of Commander Shepard. Their characterization, the way we were able to really sit in the skin of who they are, and how we're able to maintain that all through 3 games makes me really happy. I'm also someone who really loved playing as the Inquisitor. I know some people on the internet after Inquisition felt that the Inquisitor was pretty bland, and I can see why. Of all the Dragon Age protagonists that we had gotten up to that point, they are the ones with the least background. So it can be hard getting them to feel real. But it's because they are such a blank canvas that I personally am able to really enjoy them as a character. So much so that Nisia Llewellyn, who is my canon Inquisitor, feels like a friend, like a second skin. I love her so much. So when Veilguard started and we got introduced to Rook, I immediately clocked it that, oh, now that is an interesting development. Now, full disclosure, I am still playing the game. I haven't reached the end game yet, so I'm not sure how the portrayal and specific characterization for Rook is carried all the way through the end of the game. I'm taking this game in slow sips. For context, in case a lot of people have forgotten, which is very probable because a lot has happened since, this game has only been out for about 11 days. That's a little over a week. Some of us are taking our time because work's a bitch and trying to balance everything on our plate is taking its toll. So I'm really enjoying this game. And these thoughts of mine are mostly about Rook. Now, for those who are worried about spoilers because they too are going slowly, as always, I'm gonna keep the spoilers to a minimum. I will only use clips up until we head to Treviso to have coffee with Lucanus. So, pretty early game. And I'm not going to dive into plot points either. So for those concerned, both the words I say and the clips I use will be very early gameplay and events. So minimal to no spoilers. And before I jump into talking all about Rook, a quick introduction. Hello, I'm Noria, and I love to talk about characters, character arcs, and growth, and the characterization we get based off of authorial or artistic intent. I love to talk themes and plots and story arc and beats across various media: movies, TV shows, books, anime, and video games. If that sounds like your jam, do consider checking out some of my other videos. If you like what you see, hit subscribe. If you want to watch my gameplay of Dragon Age the Veilguard, where I am trying my best to be consistent in my roleplay of the Rook I created, Larima Ladair, then check out my Let's Play channel. P.S. It's Noria. I'll put the link to it in the description bar, if that sounds like something you would like to check out. And with that out of the way, let's talk Rook. Or more importantly, let's talk Rook and their gentle parenting, and what it says about the kind of character that they are. Because I do think that a lot of people were expecting Rook to be either the hero of Ferelden, or Hork, or the Inquisitor. And if the player also enjoys other BioWare games, they were probably hoping for another Commander Shepard. And yet I distinctly remember before the game release that I'd mentioned in my things to keep in mind so you can enjoy Dragon Age the Veilguard when it releases video, that we need to keep in mind that Rook is Rook, different from the other protagonists. And their story, their rise to their own legend, would most likely be different. Now, I made that video before Veilguard released and we all got to play it. And I'm happy to have my initial suspicions on that be confirmed. Rook really is their own person, and it's great to see. But I soon realized that my fascination and happiness with them isn't universal. That, matter of fact, quite a number of people, some of whom are my mutuals on Twitter, don't like Rook. And I've even seen some talks of people wishing that we had just gotten the Inquisitor instead of Rook. And that made me sad and also made me wonder, do people actually know who Rook is? Now, I've said it in my previous videos that BioWare's type of role-playing game is vastly different from a studio like Larian's, for example, whereby Larian's focus is on the playing part of the RPG experience, where they create a sandbox for you as the player to lose yourself in, just having a blast, unencumbered by any form of restrictions, because that affects your ability to play as you would have liked. BioWare, on the other hand, gives you a role you have to play as. And with that role comes restrictions. Because if there are no restrictions, then you'll be playing a whole other role, which isn't what BioWare wants, because they like to run a very tight ship, focused on the story they're telling us. If as an actor you show up to set with a script, the director isn't going to allow you run off script, because the role you've been given and hired to play is one that fits within the story that is present in the script. You being allowed to go off of it changes the fundamental story that the scriptwriter has put together. Now, if you all want me to create a video where I analyze each of the roles we've been given to play by BioWare across their games, let me know in the comments. I can make it into a series that would probably span months for me to complete, but I will definitely do so. But away from the others and onto the role of Rook. What do we know of them? What are we told about them at the start of the story? Rook, from the start of the story, is someone, whatever faction you might have chosen, who goes against authority to do the right thing. They get expelled from their faction and family and community as a result of that. But that doesn't keep them down. Instead, they live with Varric to once again go do the right thing and save the world. That is the role that we as players are given. Imagine you're an actor and you meet the scriptwriter and you're talking to them about the role so you can really understand it and sink into who they are, what their motivations are, why they act the way they do, so that in executing, in acting out that role, you're able to do so in an informed way that ensures that you stay true to the spirit of the character you're playing. So if you're the actor meeting the writer, here is what I think Rook's scriptwriter would say and how they would describe them to you. That Rook is clearly someone with a soft spot for those who need help. They will always stand for what they believe is right. Clearly, they cannot stand tyrants. And yes, they might not consider the full ramification of their choices and decisions before they make it. But as long as their choice is one that leads to them getting the results they set out to accomplish, and they are able to stick it to the man, to the institutions that would oppress those who are weaker than them, then that is what they do. Those are the perimeters within which the character of Rook is built. And so therefore, your job as the actor who is bringing this role to life is to best embody those traits. You can bring a little pizzazz, some slight tweaks that would make your portrayal of Rook a bit different from the next person. But both of you would still be playing Rook as they are meant to be, i.e., Benedict Cumberbatch and Johnny Lee Miller both get to play Sherlock, and sure, their portrayals of him might be different in some aspects, but at the core, they are both playing as Sherlock Holmes, extremely intelligent misanthrope with addiction issues and a penchant and skill for solving mysteries. It would be antithetical to who Sherlock is for one of those actors to be like, oh, but you see, my portrayal of Sherlock Holmes is actually someone who is pretty stupid and cannot find two brain cells to rub together. Both the fans of the book and the many adaptations that we've gotten and the scriptwriters will probably look at said actor and ask if they've lost their bloody minds, because that doesn't fit who Sherlock Holmes is. So let's move away from super smart Brits lacking in emotional intelligence to Rook, who I've noticed a large section of the fandom are upset is a nice protagonist. And yes, I can see why it's throwing a lot of people off. Some people like acting the absolute asshole in video games. I always play as a Renegade Shepherd because Paragon is too vanilla for me. And the Renegade interrupts are always such a blast to tap into. Kicking a talking merc who is wasting my time out of the window when I've got an assassin to recruit as my crewmate is always such a delight. And thankfully, because of the service history we get to choose for Shepard, it makes sense to me that that option, being a renegade, is available because that story, that interpretation of the role of Commander Shepard is available to you. Compare that with Ryder from Mass Effect Andromeda, with a clear and distinct family history, who, as a result of that, would not have witnessed the types of horrors that can get you a ruthless shepherd, for example. And so it's logical that they don't have the capacity for some really ruthless choices. Because we become what we are exposed to, right? We are the result of the environment. It's why villains and heroes have their own origin stories that are the trigger point for the direction they decide their life path would be. Same thing with Ryder. But beyond that, Ryder is someone who is young, who is looking up to their father, to Alec Ryder, who is ideally the Pathfinder. They are just there for the ride along with their sibling. It is Alec's dying that then pushes Ryder into a position of authority within their world. And because they are most unprepared for the role, they come across as seeming younger, not really ready for the sudden responsibility that they are saddled with. They are thrust into a situation, a position that they would never have dreamt of holding, of handling. And because they are suddenly hit with that unplanned responsibility, they read young. Younger than Shepard, who has come into their own. And so the way in which Ryder's squad mates react to them is vastly different from the foregone confidence that Shepard inspires. They are different. The same can be seen with Rook. We hear from Varric, who confirms that Rook was meant to be his second in command on the job to stop Solus. With all the backstory we got of the various Rooks, whether your Rook was a Shadow Dragon, a Crow, a member of the Morn Watch, a Lord of Fortune, a Veil Jumper, or a Grey Warden, they are never in a position of authority. They are much lower on the rung of responsibility. So they start Dragon Age the Veilguard after making a complete mess of things and now promoted to a position they never want. Solus is not their fight. They were tagging along with Varric. And now they have to pick things up from where Varric left off because now the position, the leader of the group, is theirs. When you combine their role and the personality of them being kind, standing up for those who need it, fighting against tyranny, which I mentioned earlier in this video, and the circumstances that gave them the position they now occupy, then it starts to make a little bit of sense why exactly Rook reads the way they do. At their core, they are a good person who wants to do the right thing for people and often run afoul of those in higher position in doing so. And yet, they do it regardless. Rook is someone who has been sent away from their community and faction. And so we can assume that they have that gaping hole in them where they are seeking new family because the Rook role we are given is not that of a lone wolf. That's why their faction matters. That's why we have companions who will share that faction with them. So we get the banter, the inner community talk. So you know that, Rook. Rook misses home, misses family. And so, of course, they are going to treat their new companions like family. Of course, they are going to want to be there for them, going to want to gentle parent them. Because Rook is kind of coded young, and I apologize to those of you who are role playing them as much older. You might be able to have that work, but based off of the role we've been given, they can't be too old. So I personally see them as being coded young. But we also see them as a peacemaker of sorts, because they want their ragtag team to work together, and we get to decide how they go about it within the perimeters we've been given. That of their kindness. Their kindness that is inherent to their story, that we've seen with their backstory. And instead, the limitations of the options we get as the player, the choices we're given, is to figure out how would Rook then respond to these events. Sure, they would do so with the inherent kindness, but is their kindness tinged with the bluntness of calling things as they are, i.e., foot in their mouth, a bit more assertive, but in a way that doesn't feel massively different from who they are at their core? You can be direct without being an asshole. Or would they be slightly funny and sarcastic? Or would they be very sincere? Or are they more given to being open and generous with their empathy? With Ryder, we see through the course of Andromeda that they eventually win the support and respect of their crew. And it feels very hard won when we get to that scene, to the last stretch, to see how far you as Ryder has come. And now you have the respect of a hard ass like Drac. Like I said at the start of this video, I'm still in Act 1. I have the feeling that I'm coming very close to the end of it, that I'm probably maybe 5 more hours to the wrap of Act 1, so I can then move into Act 2. But I have the feeling that that is what is going to happen to Rook as well. That we will get to see their story come full circle and see them grow, thus winning the respect of their companions and their allies. And I'm hoping that that is what happens. But also, I love how BioWare tells these stories, so I do have some faith that that is what would happen. And it would be great to see Rook's story arc, to see how it shifts and changes and grows and evolves through the course of the game. But tell me, do you agree with me? With my take? Do you see the similarities between Rook and Ryder? Do my words try to explain why I personally think that Rook is the way they are, much kinder, even though a lot of the fandom would rather there had been some extremes available for them to enjoy playing the role of Rook a bit better? Let me know in the comments, but in a way that you're not dropping spoilers, please. And if you all are interested, let me know in the comments as well if you would love for me to do a review of the game when I am done. Heads up though, because at the pace I'm going, we're probably looking at maybe end of the year at this point. And it's going to be a long video too. Maybe 90 minutes to 2 hours easy. Because I will be talking about every single aspect of this game. If that sounds like something you might enjoy and watch, because that is going to be a lot of work, Let me know in the comments, please. Or you can just comment whatever you want, really. I don't mind. Hit the like button if you enjoyed this video, though, or hit the dislike button if you didn't. And think that I'm just all in the copium. Like I always say, opinions are like assholes. We've all got one. This one just happens to be mine. Share this video if you think others should hear what I have to say. Maybe you all have been talking about the characterization of Rook and you think I can, in my own little way, contribute a bit to your discourse. It brings new people to my channel, which means that I get to reach a larger audience, which in turn helps my channel grow and is incredibly supportive of my content. Speaking of support, a huge thank you to my Patreons who are instrumental in helping me keep the lights on. Thank you. I do not take any of you all for granted, especially with the state of the global economy. Thank you so much. If you would like to support me on Patreon, the link to do so is in the description box. I make new videos 3 times a week, Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Whilst you wait for new content from me, let me refer you back to the things to keep in mind before you play Dragon Age the Veilguard video. Because I do still think that even if you're on your second or third playthrough of the game, there are words to keep in mind. Until next time, do remember, obsessing over the things you love, perfectly valid coping mechanism.